Man, get up here in the Zoloft to get your head right.
Hey, Merry Christmas and welcome to the Zoloft. Little drummer boy up in here. Now I'm gonna address a question that comes up around Christmas time. And that question is, should you entertain your kids with the legend of Santa Claus? Does it take away from the account of Jesus Christ? Are you breaking the commandment to not lie by telling them the story of some fat dude who's able to squeeze down your chimney and bring them presents? Getting even fatter by scarfing down milk and cookies and squeezing his big behind back up a chimney and getting his fat booty in a sleigh to be carried off by some reindeer. Now, if you're a fundamentalist fuddy-duddy, you may not dig this. So I'm here to help you put the fun back in fundamental. Telling your kids the big lie about Santa Claus doesn't break any of the commandments. The commandment isn't to not lie. The commandment is to not slander your neighbor. Do not bear false witness against your neighbor. Do not falsely accuse your neighbor. Do not lie against your neighbor. Deceit, to deliberately do someone harm, is in a totally different category than just lying. Like, say for instance, your wife asks you if you think her sister is hotter than she is. What you gonna do? Because this is an instant where her sister is way hotter than she is. But you may very well have to say, of course not, baby. You'll say stupid stuff trying to bite your tongue to hold that truth back. Oh no, honey, I would much rather make love to her with a bag over her face with a picture of you drawn on it. And before you try to get cute and say, hey, Zora, you speaking from experience and had to tell this lie to your wife? Ha, no, my wife ain't got a sister. So you're not sinning by entertaining your kid with the folklore of bowl full of jelly claws. Jesus himself told stories about people who may not have existed. Now, if Jesus invoked a person from the Old Testament, that person existed and the events that surrounded them did happen. But he did tell other stories to get the gift of salvation point across. So now, why is it a crime to entertain children with a story that conveys the value of trying to be well behaved and possibly receiving a reward? You can actually use Santa Claus to point kids to Jesus. Jesus used parables to point to God and to reveal who he is. Now, for some kids, laying the accounts of Jesus on them may be a little heavy, but you can start kind of working it in. Be like, hey, notice it's called Christmas and not Klausmas. Marinate on that. The kid may even start to take notice and be like, hey, what are these songs about this little kid I keep hearing about? Do I get to meet him? Will I get to play with him? But I'd say it's pretty safe to let the kid in on the deal when they're, I don't know, old enough to stop losing their baby teeth. And along that time, I'm sure that they can handle and even appreciate that you tried to make their childhood fun and memorable with things like Santa Claus. And may even be ready to learn and distinguish between legend and truth. I reckon at this point, they're old enough to know when you're being serious and take you serious when you say, now listen, I know I told you that Santa Claus was real, but I needed you to believe it so it would be fun. But now you're old enough for me to tell you the real deal. And you can start the process of making your own decision on whether you want to accept this truth or not. And I'll remind you of a suggestion I made a while back. You can even use Santa Claus as a way to relate the true gift giver to your kids, who gives the ultimate gift of salvation by grace, regardless of whether you're on the nice list or the naughty list. The question is whether or not you want to accept the gift. The gift is yours. It's in your house. It's in your hands. If you don't ultimately benefit from the gift, it's only because you didn't want to. But accepting this gift puts you on an even better list, that being the lambs list. You related to your kids already by them wanting to be on the nice list? Now I'm gonna touch on again how you can use Santa Claus to help with your kids start to process Jesus. They're a little older. They can handle some heavier stuff now. Well, you notice how Santa Claus is all covered in red? Well, Jesus was covered in red too. He was covered in the red of his own blood. Oh, why was Jesus covered in his own blood? Because Jesus got a whooping. Oh, Jesus got a whooping? Yeah, Jesus got a bad whooping. Dang, why did Jesus get a whooping? What'd he do? Man, it's not what he did. It's what we did. Dang, Jesus, my bad. I didn't want you to get a whooping. That's right, because whoopings suck, huh? And when do you get those? When I do things that you told me not to do and I knew that I wasn't supposed to do them. That's right. And people do things that they know that they're not supposed to do. And Jesus stepped up to take the whooping for it. And anybody who's grateful for that and accepts his gift ultimately gets to go be where he is, where people don't do bad things anymore. No more whoopings. That's right. No more whoopings. Now, I know that you took them cookies that I told you not to take, right? Come on. Santa Claus descends down the chimney into the fireplace. Jesus descended into the fiery place to minister to those who have been sinning as far back as the pre-Diluvian period. When Santa Claus is finished with his work, in a flash, he rises up the chimney. And when Christ was finished with his work, he arose from his ministry. Your kids are already familiar and have a sentimental attachment to the imagery that they grew up with Santa Claus. You can use that imagery to appeal to them about the real work of Jesus Christ. People are so turned off with the commercialism of Christmas, even though most of them are the worst offenders for partaking with the commercialism of Christmas. And the reason why Christmas has become so commercial and evil, because too many people keep trying to take the very thing that's pure and good about Christmas out of Christmas. That's Christ himself. Leave Christ in it and celebrate who he is, and commercialism will fade in his light. Take him out of it and you get selfishness, stress, and strife, etc. Now that doesn't mean that the gift giving and presents should stop. Heck no, man. Shop till you drop if you want to. But exercise a little attitude of gratitude and thank God for what you got. If you like to go out and get a bunch of presents, great. Just maybe thank God that you have a job that affords you the ability to do so. Thank God that you got so many choices of where to shop for gifts. Be thankful to God for the people that you love to even give gifts to. Commercialism ain't bad, but it rots when people try to take the reason for the season out of it and try to do things like replacing God with guilt. It's not fair that you can enjoy Christmas and others can't. You've got food and this person's hungry. You've got shelter and this person's homeless. God doesn't want your guilt, and your guilt don't help anybody. It's only an exercise in your own self-righteousness to make you think that you're a better person because you're aware of these people. God doesn't want your guilt. He wants your gratitude, because your gratitude is what's actually helpful. Because gratitude is a genuine motivator to say, hey, I am so thankful for what I have, and with a warm, thankful heart, not guilt, I'm gonna go down and I'm gonna do something for the hungry, and I'm gonna do something for the homeless. Motivated by gratitude, not by guilt. Gratitude is the cheerful giver. A guilty giver can only give begrudgingly. A guilty giver gives and judges others. People are so mean and cruel and selfish, they should be more like me. Look at what I did. I gave to somebody today. They think they're all holy because they gave somebody a buck. And curse the rich businessman. Meanwhile, it's usually the rich business people that they're cursing all the time are the ones who are scheduling monies to give to charities. It's a regular thing for them, but you don't know it because they're not out boasting about it. And while you're too busy boasting about how good of a person because you gave somebody $1 one day. It's even worse when people think that Jesus himself is what's wrong with Christmas. And the more people try to press that idea, the worse things get around Christmas time. Ask yourself, why believe these people who do nothing for anybody and insist on trying to make others as miserable as they are? Or instead, maybe consider Jesus who gave it all so that we may have peace on earth in our time and guaranteed peace on earth in his time when we choose to live in his kingdom. He hasn't given you any reason to hate or reject him. Not in every case, but pretty much most of them. Typically, selfish people who want to be free to do whatever it is that they want and demand that others abide by their delusions or their desires, no matter what it will cost others, typically reject Jesus. But anyway, there's a suggestion of how you can transition your kids from the legend of Santa Claus to the truth of Jesus Christ. And hopefully there's a little perspective from a fellow Grups too. Thanks again for hanging out with me and Zoloft. Be sure to share with your friends, family, or even people who get on your nerves. And boogie on over to my website, alfonsorachel.com, if you'd like to support the work of your bro Zoe with a bro nation. Or grab some merch like my audiobook or my album from my music project, 20 Pound Sledge. There's options to send these downloads as a gift. Because remember, y'all, when you share and support my work, a little bit of leftism dies. Like them reindeer that Santa Claus landed on Ted Nugent's roof last Christmas. No more whoopings?